GCC Chem 130 students, we are ready to continue our chapter 15 discussion. So I have a question for you now over what we just learned. I have across the top some solutes, and then down the side I have some solvents, and we're going to pretend they're all liquids because ammonia, it has to be cold to be a liquid, so we'll pretend it's cold. We're going to see if the solutes will dissolve in the solvents. So we're going to start with ammonia as the solvent. Now ammonia is NH3. We've done this Lewis dot structure before. Do you think ammonia is polar or non-polar? By the way, it is a trigonal pyramid shape. Okay, and it has a lone pair on top. Okay, so there's a lone pair up here pushing the bonds down, and that's why it's the trigonal pyramid shape and not trigonal planar flat. It's trigonal pyramid. So it has a lone pair on top. So that does make it unsymmetrical, so it is polar. Good job if you guessed polar. So now let's see, will solute HCl dissolve in the polar NH3? Well, HCl is just a bond, H to Cl. Is the HCl bond polar or non-polar? So H and Cl, they're different, non-metals, polar. So we have a polar solute HCl and a polar solvent NH3. Will that mix? Yes, it will. So yes, HCl will dissolve and mix with NH3. Next one is the solute I2. So that's an I bonded to itself, II. So is that polar or non-polar, bonded to itself? You're correct if you said non-polar. When you're bonded to yourself, you're non-polar. So we have a non-polar solute with a polar NH3 solvent. Will that dissolve and mix? Okay, no, because polar and non-polar do not mix. So that's a big no. All right, what about PCl3? PCl3 is also trigonal pyramid like ammonia. Has a lone pair on top, 3 bonds pointing down in a little pyramid shape. So PCl3 with that lone pair on top, it's not symmetrical. So it is polar or non-polar? Polar is correct. It is polar. So we have polar PCl3 and polar NH3. Will that mix? Yes. Polar mixes with polar, yes. Finally, we have the solute CH4. We would have to bubble that in. It's methane gas, a greenhouse gas actually, that's making our planet get warmer. So we need to be careful with our methane gas and not put too much of it in the atmosphere. Anyway, CH4 is nothing but CH bonds. What do we know about CH bonds? Are they polar or non-polar? So CH bonds are non-polar. So CH4 is a non-polar compound because all it has is CH bonds. You can't create polar from non-polar bonds. So non-polar solute, will that mix with the polar NH3 solvent? Polar and non-polar. Okay, no, that won't mix. Polar and non-polar don't mix. That's a big fat no. All right, good job. Next up is the solvent C12H26. It's a hydrocarbon because it's made up of hydrogen and carbon. C12H26. Is that polar or non-polar if all it has is C to C and C to H bonds? Okay, hydrocarbons are always non-polar because all we have is C to C and C to H bonds in it. So it's non-polar. All right, so will HCl mix with C12H26? We have a polar solute with a non-polar solvent. Okay, no, because those are opposite. Polar and non-polar don't mix. Will iodine mix with this solvent? Remember, iodine was non-polar. Yes, because we have a non-polar combination that will mix. Very good. Will PCl3 mix with the solvent that's non-polar? Okay, no, because PCl3 was polar. Our solvent is non-polar C12H26. Those will not mix, will not mix. And then finally CH4, a hydrocarbon. Will a hydrocarbon mix with a hydrocarbon? Yeah, because they're both non-polar, so that's a yes. All right, let's look at the last one. We have bromine. What do we know about bromine? Yes, it's diatomic. What else do we know about bromine? Is it solid, liquid, or gas? It is a liquid. It's one of the 2 liquids. Remember, mercury and bromine are liquids. So bromine's a liquid. It's a rusty colored reddish liquid. Anyway, will bromine, which is Br bonded to itself, be a solvent that is polar or nonpolar if it's bonded to itself? Okay, bonded to itself is nonpolar. So it's nonpolar. Will HCl mix with nonpolar bromine? Okay, no. Will iodine mix with bromine? So that's nonpolar, nonpolar. So yes. Will PCl3 mix with bromine? So that's a nonpolar, polar combination. So no. And then what about the CH4 nonpolar solute in the bromine? They're both nonpolar. So yes, they will mix. Very good. All right. We'll continue on in the next presentation. Thank you.